What is up, Podheads? It's your boy DJ Easy Zeke back with episode 16 of Podheads. Got a really, really great guest for y'all today. This is Sam, aka Mr. SOC.
What's going on?
And this guy right here he's one of the kings of Charlotte, to be honest with you, man. He's connected with any and everybody. He's tapped in with any and everything. But we're going to get to know Sam a little bit today. And as you folks know, we start at the beginning. So I believe you told me you're from New Jersey, right?
Yep.
And am I mistaken? Did you say you lived a couple places growing up, or New Jersey was it?
Yeah, so I was in New Jersey, and then I moved to Greensboro, North Carolina, before Charlotte.
That's right. I lived in Greensboro for a little bit too. How long did you live in like both of those areas?
So I was in New Jersey until about the end of 2007, beginning of 2008, and I was in Greensboro from about 2008 to 2013, and then once I graduated high school, I moved to Charlotte.
And what high schools did you go to?
I only went to one. So I went for middle school and high school, I went to Northern Guilford.
Oh, okay.
So literally they're right next door to each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And normally I would ask people what they do growing up, but in Greensboro, we probably did a lot of the same things. So Northern Guilford, y'all were really good at like a lot of different sports. Did you play any sports?
No, actually. So my little brother, he played football. I was more like the performing arts, theater.
Gotcha.
Kind of the stage. That was my thing. So we were like on two different spectrums.
Was that always like something you kind of just were interested in from a younger age, or did it take you up until like the high school to kind of realize that?
So it was sixth grade when I started getting into like theater, dance, and things like that. So it was more like performing, but I've always been into it, like church and things growing up. I always kind of like was on the stage doing different things. So
did you like to sing, or was like acting kind of like the main thing?
So I started out singing actually, and then acting didn't come about until I did The Wiz in sixth grade. And then from there, it just went on from there. So it went from there to chorus in like middle school, and then band, and then theater.
Was there like a certain person or a certain like artist, certain movie, certain role that kind of got you interested in that kind of stuff, or was it just something you just automatically knew you liked it no matter what?
That's a good question. I just always loved like seeing kids on like TV shows, and always having like this dream of being an entertainer. That was my thing before I got into fashion.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily a specific person, but just seeing it around me in the art form in different areas in my life, like from young all the way to middle school, high school. It's just like I was like, wow, like okay, I want to be part of it somehow.
Did anyone in your family kind of do stuff like that? That was kind of an influence on you, or?
So my oldest sister, she was in the choir. Another sister of mine, she sang and danced. And then my brother, he's actually an artist. So seeing him draw kind of inspired me a little bit growing up.
I'm not sure why that my bad. I'm not sure why that microphone was glitching right there. So you said it was your brother?
So my brother is an artist, so he draws.
Mm-hmm.
He still draws, but he's not like a professional artist right now. And then my sister was a singer, and then my other sister, she sang and danced.
So they all kind of had like a little bit of creativity.
Just a little bit.
Them.
So we have a huge family.
Yeah.
So those were just a few. Other ones aren't as creative as the others.
Was that something you kind of wanted to take like past high school, or were you planning to go to college for theater or anything like that? Or
so ironically enough, I wanted to be an entertainer. That was my whole thing. So I wanted to pursue theater, singing, all of the like performing arts, until I really found this love and passion for fashion, I guess you would say.
Yeah. Were you designing anything at that point, or was it just kind of like the theatrical part of stuff?
I didn't start designing until about 10th, 11th grade year in high school.
Yeah.
So it did start from high school.
Was that from a class? Because I believe at one of the high schools I went to, they had a class that you could design and stuff like that. It wasn't theater, but and it wasn't art, but I believe it was like a fashion class where you did designs and stuff like that.
So unfortunately, my school didn't have a fashion class, but we did have a project where we had to present for our senior project, and it was my clothing brand.
I gotcha.
But that stemmed from the brand that I created my 10th grade year, which was SOC Threads.
And was that the like initial start of like kind of the entrepreneurial in you, just wanting to start like a brand and be an entertainer and stuff like that?
Yep.
Was the ultimate goal to have a brand, or did you want to entertain solely at first?
Solely at first, I wanted to just entertain and do entertainment. And then when it comes to the fashion, I just kind of found a love for it, like, over time. Like, I've always had like an interest in like pieces, but being so close to it in high school, like from my sister, well, another sister who's a designer, I was able to help her like cut out garments, stay up late and help her sew little things together, travel with her while in school, and go to these fashion shows. So I was styling and helping design before I even knew what it was.
And I know you said that when you wanted to do the theater stuff, the Wiz, was that the name of the first like play? That was kind of like your spark.
Yeah.
What was the first project for, designing or fashion? Was it that one that you were just talking about with your sister that you kind of helped out with?
So yeah, she's done numerous projects and things, but that kind of like sparked it too. And then I was kind of huge on the site called Tumblr at the time.
Oh yeah.
Tumblr was really big. I was always inspired by the kids in New York, the Glenn Browns and everybody who was on the scene that time in New York. So just watching them just really inspired me. And so I'm like, I kind of have this creativity too. So I took it upon myself and started working on my own projects, like cutting up jackets, making my own custom sneakers. Like, I was even featured in my high school yearbook for my sneakers, actually. So,
were you trying to do that for like a money standpoint, to make some extra money and do it as a job, or were you doing it just to get the name out there when you were starting, the brand?
So when it comes to the pieces I did for myself, it was just for me. Like, it was just my style.
Just what you thought was cool.
I never wanted to wear what other people was wearing. So I always thought like, what would I feel comfortable in, and what will people be like, oh, that's kind of dope, or what is he wearing? Like, I never cared.
Oh, that's different right there.
I never cared. I would just wear what I wanted. And then I started the clothing brand. So the clothing brand then became a monetary thing. Like, that's when I started caring about the funds and revenue and things like that. But start out, I was just always just interested in fashion.
What was the first piece you had designed to try to, not just for yourself, but for someone else, that you were going to try to see if they were going to wear it?
So my huge thing, so SOC stems from Splash of Class. That's the acronym.
Okay.
So
I thought it was your initials, to be honest with you. Like,
oh, no, actually, that I never thought about it.
I always thought it was for your initials.
That's funny. So Splash of Class started from, I made bow ties. So the bow tie is like a little Splash of Class. So I come from Trenton, New Jersey, so it's not known as like the most classiest or suburban place. So that's why I said like Splash of Class. Like, I'm just giving, but some people might think I'm like bougie or whatever the case would be.
whatever word you use,
but that bow tie was just adding that little splash of class.
Yeah.
Like, but what made the brand unique was I was creating bow ties out of all materials, like old T-shirts, sweaters.
Is this stuff you thrifted, or was
thrifted? Found in the house, just laying around. I grabbed a hot glue gun and just started piecing things together before I even started sewing them together. Yeah.
So, what was the initial reaction when you were starting to? Were you selling them or just giving them out at first?
So at first, I was just wearing them.
Okay.
I was just wearing them, and then getting people's reaction, and then some started liking them, and I started making them in different variations. So it was initially just for me. I was just doing it, but then I saw people's interest, so I made like a bunch, and I started selling them for like $5, $10, and just seeing what people thought. And
was it hard to get it? I mean, I know you said was it Trenton, New Jersey. It's not known as the most classy or whatever whatever term you want to use. Was it weird to kind of do stuff to kind of try to stand out? And two, how hard was it to even stand out if it was such a place that wasn't really like fashion oriented to begin with?
Well, so when it comes to Trenton, so like I said, it was my high school years where I started.
Okay, so Greensboro
is where I really just tapped into the fashion. When I was in Jersey, I was still like a mama's boy in the sense. My mom would like put my clothes together and get like. I was only in 6th grade before I left, so I like I was going into 7th grade when I left. So, my mom, would pick my things out. She'll do my laundry, do little things like that. But I kind of became like my own like self or teen when I moved down south. So, what What was the question?
I was asking how hard it was in Trenton to stand out, but I guess the initial or the new question would be in Greensboro, how hard it was to like stand out, or how weird it kind of felt to do something different like that with the bow ties and just trying to be different.
So I never thought of it of like being weird. I knew I was gonna stand out because nobody was doing it, but like I never cared. Like just like I never care now. Like
and then once people started, wearing it or wanting to buy the bow ties or whatever the case was, I'm sure that was kind of like
it was a good feeling.
Yeah,
people wanted to support and wanted to have some sort of like my style incorporated into their style.
Were these bow ties, did you have like anything that was unique to like a symbol or like the brand itself, or they were all very unique, I'm sure?
No, each one was different. I didn't have like any branded stamp at the time because I was still formulating the brand, so I was just creating. I started making like latches to go around them with the same material, so it wasn't necessarily like a signature or anything in that time.
So how far or how long into like these bow tie project were you starting to think about the next thing when you were like, oh, this is kind of catching on, I can actually probably branch out and do a shirt or pants or whatever?
Yeah, so it was further down, like going towards like spring of my sophomore year. So we're looking at like 2011 maybe. I started making t-shirts. It might be before this, I can't really remember the exact timeline, but I started making t-shirts. What I was doing was I was making a t-shirt with crosses on them. So the t-shirts, my inspiration was from my religious background, so faith, like Christianity. So I started putting crosses on there. And then I was using duct tape at the time. So I was sewing duct tape on my shirts. Learned so much when it comes to textile and like just never again. But it was cool when I was doing it because like I was doing it on my own and figuring it out. I messed up my sewing machine twice because of like the adhesive getting stuck in the needle, and it was just a whole mess. Also, when you wash duct tape and dry it, it tends to shrink. So I learned from the mistake and everything, and like going into school for fashion for college, I learned about textiles and just the do's and don'ts. But that was the next thing, the t-shirts.
Were you doing these through, I'm not sure how big it was at the time, but through a website drop, or were you doing it, just like handing them out in the back of your trunk?
For people who wanted them, I would like send it to them. I can't remember the exact time. I think it was actually sooner than this, but I will say that my sister mentioned to me, she was like, Sam, I think they stole your design. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, I started seeing people wearing crosses, or I seen the company making t-shirts with the crosses on them.
Oh man.
And I was like, okay. She was like, no, that means like somebody's out here like watching you.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, well, maybe she's right. But the time frame where it was like Forever 21 and things like that, they started putting the crosses on the t-shirts.
Yeah. And
then they started doing upside down crosses. So I'm like, I don't know if I was the one who they got the inspiration from, but like I literally got the inspiration from myself. So I didn't know how to think at the
very
time.
Coincidental in the time.
Very coincidental. So I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting.
Go ahead.
It was like around the whole like era of like the Jerk came out, and people had the Jerk crew, the skinny jeans was popping that whole time.
Jerk. I know.
Exactly.
So the t-shirts were the next step, and you said you were doing these like handing them out. Were you doing how many different? Were you doing like drops, or were you doing just like whenever you came up with one?
Whenever I came up with one, I did do 2 drops, I think. So I had like a cheetah tape, duct tape one, and then I had a zebra. Then I did like a cheetah and zebra cross duct tape, like collab, whatever you would call it. And they did pretty well. I think I might have done another print, but I can't remember. But those were the 2 that really stood out.
Did you have a group of friends or anybody that was helping you out as far as either making the stuff or promoting, or whatever the case was?
So no one helped me make them, but I did have friends. Well, except my mom at one point. My mom did help me do some sewing. and she actually taught me how to like do like the fundamentals and things like that. When it comes to promoting. So all of my friends around, like, they wanted to sport my bow ties, they wanted to sport the T-shirt. So of course I gave them some. If they wanted to compensate me, I grabbed it. But it was really just about making sure like my team was wearing them and had it to sport. I think that was the cool part.
What kind of like advertising or marketing did you went into it besides yourself kind of promoting it by wearing it?
To be honest, this was like before Instagram, so
Instagram came out around that time, but it really wasn't what it is today, where people use it literally for social media.
I literally had social media, and I was posting. I'll never forget my first post ever on Instagram was a box of brownies sitting on the counter with like the icing to put on the brownies.
The simplicity of Instagram.
Like, it was in the. I placed the filter on it. It was like. It's like a vignette filter.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, okay, like, what's this about? Like, what's Instagram? So I was very candid. Like, I wish it was kind of still the same, but it's all good.
So then there wasn't much besides, you just spreading by word of mouth?
Yeah, word of mouth. Friends and family would share. I used to post on Tumblr a little bit. So Tumblr had some shares there. Facebook and in person, yeah, really.
So it sounds like at this time you were kind of starting to take it more serious, obviously, and sounds kind of like you wanted to take it past high school in a sense too, even though this was kind of towards the middle or the beginning of high school. So how did the end of high school turn out when you started off on such like a creative, high fashion note?
So I started making money, and I was like, okay, I'm in high school, like this is my way of making money. Like I wasn't able to get a job in high school, so this was my form of income. I'm making my own, buy my own product. Like this is what I'm doing. So I kind of lost sight over time, like as a kid, of the overall vision and just started looking at the money aspect. So what I did was, going into college, I stopped the brand completely. I was like, okay, I don't like the fact that I'm thinking money and it's just money driven. So let me not talk about it no more. I'm going to go to college, not tell anybody about the brand, how great it was, or the experience about it. I'm just going to go start fresh. We're going to see what happens. So literally the name, the SOC name brand or my personal name didn't come back into picture until like roughly 2015.
And what college did you end up going to?
Johnson & Wales.
Okay.
So right in uptown Charlotte here. Yeah, great time.
So you put it on hold, and then it started to come back around, or you were starting fresh. Were you gonna like initially do fashion and clothing again, or were you trying to excel in other aspects?
So eventually, I just didn't know the route that I wanted to go. So I went to Johnson & Wales for fashion fashion merchandising, retail marketing.
Gotcha.
So I went to learn the business aspect of it. I wanted to learn, okay, what does the consumer like? What does the consumer need? How can I cater to them? Those things, and like actually how to crunch numbers and manage and et cetera and sustain. That was my big thing, sustainability. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to learn. And then eventually I'll bring SOC back. But I didn't bring the clothing brand back. Instead, I brought back, or I reinvented and became Mr. SOC. Mr. SOC, once again, Mr. Splash of Class. But I wanted people to kind of understand that name through my style and just how I am as a person. Yeah.
And what was the next step then, as far as you said you weren't really sure the route you wanted to take? What was the spark that gave you the route that you wanted to take, that just put in your eyes or put in your vision?
So I started styling people in like 2015. Well, before that too, but I really started looking at it like, like this is fun, this is dope. So I was interning, I was helping on set styling, I was putting outfits together for my friends to go to the club or go on dates or go here or there. And I'm like, okay, I kind of like this. Like, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to become a wardrobe stylist.
Yeah.
So I, gave myself the title wardrobe stylist or an image consultant. I ran with that until about the end of high school. End of college rather, sorry. And then by the time I graduated college, what happened? I started getting into like almost everything. So I started doing PR. I started doing road managing. I started getting more into music and events. Even though I was doing events all throughout college too, I was part of the campus activity boards, e-board, and I was one of the people who had to put on the events, source talent, do talent buying, things like that. So the experience and the background is very vast. Like there's so many things that I've done. So to just explain to how I got where I am now, it just all makes sense. But
did you have a favorite kind of, I guess, niche that you like to style, like artists or models or whatever the case was? I know you said you were working with some friends who went out. Did you like doing that the best, or what?
So I used to put together photo shoots. So like, I did like some campaigns in college, and I also had a model troupe that was inside of the organization I was president for on campus, which was Fashion Society. So with that, like I used to style the models for that, bring opportunities on campus and off campus and on campus. So I was able to style those moments. So I've always been in the realm of working with models.
Yeah.
So artists came a little bit later, and then so did everything else. Just started like snowballing.
Yeah. I'm sure you realized it when you were in high school, just because obviously you were passing your t-shirts and the ties out. But how important was the social networking factor once you got to college?
So in the beginning, social networking wasn't that big, to be honest, for me personally, because I'm very personable. I'm very social. So my goal, I told myself that when I go to college, my goal is to meet one new person a day. So for those who have been like following me on social media or know me since college, they'll know that networking is like my number one thing. Whenever I used to see someone in Uptown Charlotte walking around, like let's say with a camera or something, I'll say, hey, what camera do you have, or what are you shooting? How can I see your work? And like literally conversation will go from there. One thing leads to another. Or even a model, I'll say, hey, are you a model? Or have you modeled before you thinking about it? And the next thing go from there. And that's how I kind of grew my network and my following. And then social media was just a tool that helped me maintain and helped me get new people from a different medium.
Were there opportunities from school that were, I mean, I know you said you did some fashion stuff on campus as far as like, I guess, were they like fashion shows?
So yes, we did. I produced fashion shows on campus, and then I also had like small pop-up events, small pop-up like fashion shows and things like that. But the idea for Fashion Society when I became president was to give the students real life experiences when it comes to fashion. So I wanted them to experience fashion on campus and out of camp and off campus, whether it was fashion shows, modeling, whether it was volunteering, whether it was being able to design themselves and contribute to an event or a show. Like I was really big on that. Yeah.
What was the most challenging part of deciding to be Mr. SOC as far as that goes in college?
Phone.
Oh, your phone's ringing?
No.
Oh, that phone. All right, yeah. Quick pause real quick, and I'm going to change these batteries, folks. All right, welcome back, folks. We had to take a quick break, change our batteries, and our boy Sam had to answer a phone call, I believe. But I left off, and I was asking you what the most challenging part of your journey, I guess, when you were in college and going through all the fashion stuff and deciding what you wanted to do with Mr. SOC as a brand. What was the most challenging part as a whole?
So in college, you know, well, going towards the end of college too, I always had like this thought in my head, like, gosh, like God, like why am I always so good at everything? Like it's like not even thinking from like a very cocky standpoint, but it's like, why am I gifted in so many areas, and why do I love doing everything so much? So it was an issue at one point because I had to balance everything with my time, and it was hard to manage. So I have full-time classes. I'm interning off campus, not getting credit, but for the experience. I'm president of 2 organizations on campus. Well, not president of one, but on the e-board of another. And then life.
Yeah, just life.
Just life in general. So juggling everything, you know, that was a challenge in itself in college. But that fed into, or spilled over into rather, my performance. So like some things I was either late for, or some things I had to reschedule. But I always still performed very well when I was present. But it was just the fact of being able to stick to those dates and being able to arrive on time and sometimes. So that's one thing that I did struggle with when it comes to college. But I did end up finding a way to work around that, and that was just being very transparent with me and my team and being very open with communication. So I learned that on early. I noticed like if there's a hiccup, or if there's going to be hiccup, or there's any overlapping, just communicate and see what can be done. That was definitely a challenge. And in regards to figuring out what I wanted to do specifically, I feel like I didn't even do that until after college. Because after college, I went into the music realm of things. But, the cool thing about it, fashion and music goes hand in hand. So I was working with artists at one point, doing PR, role managing. Then I started actually managing, but like very behind the scenes, not really putting it out there. That's what I was doing, and just assisting with artists. And then I started on a music platform, hosting events called Inner Circle at one point. This was 2018 for the first one.
Was this all in Charlotte still?
No, so I started the event Inner Circle. I left Charlotte for like 2 months, 3 months maybe, in 2018, and then I started the platform Inner Circle in New York. The first event was Lower East. Both events were Lower East Side when I did the first 2 events in New York, and then I brought the event down south. I relaunched it again in 2021. But in between that time, I did like small pop-up events or collaborated with people. So going from fashion to music, but still going like hand in hand, because I'm styling artists now, working with different people like Ruby Rose, local artist Milan Hightower.
Sorry to cut you off, but my man Sam is very tapped in with any and everybody in Charlotte. It's like I met him through Chris D'Amato. That's who
another artist that I work with. That's my brother.
Shout out Chris. Shout out to Chris.
Work with him. Me and Chris actually had a conversation right here on the rooftop a few years ago when I first moved here, and I was just asking, what do you want to do? And just like, putting in that life into it, like, it's going to happen. Just manifest it, work towards it. And that's why I feel like that's the biggest thing, my purpose in life. No matter what the artist is. I've worked with Dream Doll during Fashion Week, the Claremont Twins, Makai Lucky, but sometimes I don't even realize that I've done these things or like think about it, because it's just like, okay, it happened, cool. All right, what's next?
So fast too.
What's next? Yeah, it's very fast, but sometimes I take the moment to be grateful for it. Like, even with the experience I've had with people locally, like, I've learned from each experience, whether it was an intern, whether it was role manager. Like I said, I worked with Milan Hightower for a little bit. For those who don't know him, he's actually like a pioneer here in the city. He's done events, he does music, he does creative direction. I'm just giving him his flowers here while I have the chance on the podcast. And then even with Peter Carey, I interned with him while I was an undergrad, and pretty much all the fundamentals when it comes to events and being organized and being very strategic when it comes to the marketing campaigning, I learned through him in my interning. Mind you, that was no credit received, no payment. I was doing that all because I wanted that experience, and I'm grateful because it made me into who I am. Like, all of my experience, no matter the person.
Would you consider him kind of like a mentor?
At the time, in a sense, yeah. But really more so on that like intern level, not necessarily a mentor, because I was just going into the office, assisting, going on site to different casting calls and fashion shows, and just getting the work done, really. So I did learn in a sense, so that's why I would say kind of a mentor, but not really. Who else had some? How do we even get here?
I can't remember what I asked you initially, but I don't know. I'm enjoying it though. You're giving me a lot of insight on how many people you have actually worked with.
It's a lot of people. And then Autumn, I call her like my mom, like Jennifer Michelle. I met her at Tamika Raymond's workshop. So Tamika Raymond, for those who don't know, that's Usher's ex-wife. So she did a tour called Style Theory Tour, and we got a few students from our organization got free tickets to go in undergrad, and I met Jennifer Michelle there. After that, or in that same setting rather, I met Ronaldo Nehemiah. I met Shantu, who's a huge makeup artist now. So there's this little things that happens over time. Even Zoe Dupree, he used to manage Lil Keed with Slime. It's just different people that I've met over time through experiences and being on set and just through other people. So I'm very just grateful, and everybody that I've just named, giving them their flowers. There's so many other people. I really can't think about everyone right now, but I'm just grateful to just be here in this point right now.
You kind of remind me of like East Coast Rick Rubin. Like,
yeah,
my man tapped in with everybody. He influences everybody to just be the greatest they can be. But I was about to ask you, just to back up to like when you said you got into the music realm and you went to New York. How?
Right.
And had you been in New York before?
Yeah. So I used to go all the time for Fashion Week.
Okay.
So I would see that culture of music and fashion always be intertwined.
Was it intimidating at all?
No, not at all. Like I said, nothing scares me. Like I went to those events by myself.
Oh, really?
I would go to events by myself all the time, here, there, no matter where I am, I'm gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a platform called V-Files, or there is still a platform called V-Files, and I would go to like their Pass the Aux events, which they had in their store in Soho. I'd go there, network with people from the radio, network with upcoming artists. Still to this day, I'm connected with those people. And also when I went to Fashion Week as well, you've had all the artists or kids into the music scene are also into fashion. Because everyone's an individual, everyone has their own style. So I was able to kind of see different spectrums of everything, like whether it was down south from here or up north in New York. So going back up north was just always like refreshing. So around this time after undergrad, I'm like, okay, as an adult, I'm here. What can I see and how can I learn from these people? What are they doing? So then I started taking notes from literally everything that I've done in the past, putting it all together, and then that's
here we are.
Yeah, literally.
Did you have a favorite, like up north to work or down here in the south? Or it didn't really matter?
So I do more work. Well, I've done more work. Oh, actually, no, I can't even say that. So, wow, I forgot about that. So I used to work with a company. Well, not me. I didn't forget about me working with the company, but I forgot about the specific things that I've done. I used to work with a company by the name of Electric Circus. So Electric Circus is a PR and event company, and by my OG, who's also like a mentor, my boss now as well. Her name is Shabazz. She would fly me out to New York for a few days to help her on a few events. So I'm legitimately doing all the nitty-gritty last-minute to-dos, or even beforehand doing all the planning. So I'll go up there, I'll go to Sound House in Brooklyn, get the equipment, take it to the music hall in Manhattan, run errands, get prints done. So we did a few listening parties for Kid Ken, we did Block Boy, and we've done Duke Deuce's listening party before. So being part of those experiences and then working down here, if I had to choose between where I like working, it would be up north in New York, but I've also loved working here in Charlotte as well, because I get to be part of like planting seeds, and I get to see people sprout and become, and also lay a foundation as well, so.
What is it like to kind of be a part of not only Charlotte growing up as a city, but the people in and around Charlotte as far as creative minds go? What's it like to kind of be a part and see that come into fruition?
It's really cool. It's really dope seeing it, because there's so much talent here, and there's so much to do and so much to see and witness and be part of. And it's like everyone here now, they're just planting seeds. Everyone now, they're just contributing to what everyone's going to be looking at all the time in like the next 5 to 10 years. Like Charlotte has been slowly getting on the map for a few years now, whether it was the Baby, whether it was All-Star, whether it was like just little events. But this year makes it 10 years of me being in the city, and let alone like I've seen so much growth, and I've seen amazing people come out and through and move here. So Charlotte is just, it's amazing, and there's gonna be more and more people coming up. There's so much talent.
Do you feel like you want to keep doing the Mr. SOC? Because your official title is what, creative director now?
Yes.
Do you feel like that's always going to be Charlotte now, or do you feel like it's just going to go wherever it takes you?
It's gonna go wherever it takes me. So I also, was in New York, for a few months. This is the announcement. I'm officially back in Charlotte.
Hey,
so I was
Podheads exclusive
right here. So I was in New York, working out of New York for 6 months. Was in Jersey with family. Was able to spend some quality time working out of Brooklyn with Saint Huron, and being back down south. It's like I needed a refresher. I needed a reset. I needed time to think. I needed time to grow spiritually. I needed time to grow mentally. And I just needed to be with my family. That was the longest I've spent with my family since over a decade ago. So it was definitely necessary. I was able to be lazy. I was able to do exactly what I needed to do, but still work at the same time.
Yeah.
But it was comforting to just know that I was with people that I love, that love me, and I love them unconditionally. So being back in Charlotte and seeing how things have changed is really cool to see, because I've always known it for it to be forever growing city. So just being back, and being really, really more behind the scenes now and just watching, I love what's going on. Like I love that people are coming here and doing their own thing and finding their groups, their niche early on, and just attacking. Like I love it.
Do you ever feel like overwhelmed at all the stuff that you're involved with, as far as projects or individuals that you're involved with, or anything like that, or it's nothing Sam can't handle?
Not necessarily overwhelmed. Yeah, I don't tend to get overwhelmed. There are times where I'm like, okay, whoa, but then I come right back. It's only like a few moments, because I do my very best to stay organized. I do my very best to try to plan things according to my schedule and client schedule or friend schedule. So I just try to make things make sense. I'm not in the business to do anything like halfway or mediocre anymore. I'm not in the business to waste time, so with having this new perspective on things, I just have to operate differently.
Take us through like a typical day for you. I know you have a bunch of different clients you work with, and you're always making different schedules. I worked with Sam on a music video as an assistant. He was the director less than a week ago, and I never realized this was the first kind of project I worked with Sam on, and this man is so organized. But take us through like a day in the life of Sam.
Okay, so it just depends on the day, right? So I have days where so for those who know, you guys don't know me for real, but I work a part-time job as well. So my part-time job, I work two part-time jobs to maintain, and I also run my business. So a typical day, let's say I go in about 4, right? So I wake up no later than up and about 9:30. I'm up and at it at a coffee shop. Before that, though, I'm up, shower. That's my time to pray. I do devotion. I speak life into me. Listen to my gospel music, and I'm out the door. I'm working on the computer, working on either graphics, working on some type of organizing a document, coming up with a presentation, or doing scouting for either locations or models or whatever the case may be. And then, gotta find a meal in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Gotta stay nutritious. That's the word? No, I gotta stay hydrated and fed. I guess we would say fed. And then I head over to work. So most of the time I'm there for 4 to 5 hours during the week. And then I come back home, and then I still find time to get on my computer. I'll either come up here and work for about 2 to 3 more hours, and then try to be to bed by midnight latest, so I can do the whole thing over again. If I am, and I also, didn't mention, but working with clients and getting their items and stuff together, knocking out deliverables, on a day where I am solely focused just on the company. For instance, yesterday I dedicated a day to my client. So what I do is I woke up, we have a scheduled meeting for 10 a.m., but we met roughly like 9:30 because the coffee shop we planned to go to was closed. So we went to another location. We worked at that new coffee shop. Met there till about 1:00. Went to go do some scouting for a project. Went there. That ended up turning into like 5 to 6 hours. So we were there touring, meeting, planning, and structuring, and coming up with infrastructure. So a day could look like that. A day could also look like we prep for a music video. We prep for, let's say...
Been a part of that.
Yeah. And what the crazy thing about that one is that one was a very short music video and very late. So typically a day will start like roughly like 7, 8 o'clock. Make sure everything's in line. I'll make sure there's food. I'll make sure there's drinks. Make sure that the treatment is printed out. I'll make sure that the shot list is printed out. I'll make sure that everyone has an email in regards to like meeting location, parking, what to bring, what to kind of expect. And then we go from shooting for hours and we have buffer time to change the next scene right to it. And then, depending on how many scenes, we just keep going. But nighttime scenes or shots are typically quicker. Daytime, we play with lights, so it takes a little bit longer depending on what we're shooting. But I know that was a lot of like different things, but that's a day. There's no same day.
Yeah, there's no same day for you. Yeah. And like I said, you're tapped into any and everything, from artists to projects to anything, man. Yeah. Do you have a least favorite part of all of this? Finding time for yourself, maybe. Finding personal time. Although it sounds like, as far as your scheduling goes, you have that time kind of set out for yourself.
I kind of have that time in the morning. Sometimes I wish, I guess this might be it. I wish that I took a little bit less time to get ready. Like, I feel like when I'm getting ready, that's my time to like just dive into me. Like, I'm literally just like there in the shower. Yeah. I'm listening to music. I'm literally like doing everything like that I need for me, like in that moment, like taking my time to moisturize. Like,
would you consider yourself a perfectionist?
Not necessarily, because I'm not perfect whatsoever. So I do my best to do my very best. But I'm not a perfectionist, even though I do have maybe a small case of OCD when it comes to certain things.
What would be your favorite part then of everything that you do?
Favorite part? The outcome and seeing other people pleased with what I do, making sure that I'm delivering, making sure things are efficient, sufficient. Like, I'm a stickler and I get satisfaction out of seeing things be done, like processes. So for instance, like the day we did the shoot, us coming together, you playing your role, me playing my role, Corey playing his role, the actors playing their role, Franco playing her role, and then seeing it all be done. Like, I love processes. Like, I love just seeing it completed. I get like the satisfaction out of that.
Not to mention every single individual in that team or unit or whatever you want to call it plays a small role, but it ultimately brings together that big picture,
big vision. Everybody is important.
So that was your favorite part. Your least favorite part was how long it takes to get ready, which is hilarious. What was the last thing I had for you? What was one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to do what you do, or to a younger version of yourself?
Just do it. Just like, literally, I'm acting like Nike, but just do it. Literally, try it out. Do everything. Try it. You never know what will work for you. You never know what you are truly like. I never thought that I would be calling myself a creative director, to be very honest with you. The end of last year, which was 2022. Mind you, I've been doing creative direction for forever, but I never knew that it was creative direction. I've just always tend to be that person to help everyone. Literally, a lot of you can ask a lot of people now, like, I've helped them in some way, shape, or form. with either a business or a song or a launch, or, because it's just always been in my, it's just always been me. So I never thought that I would be calling myself a creative director. But end of last year, I was like, you know what? I kind of have to give myself a title. I see all these people being successful, and they all have one title. So let me give myself a title. At first, I'm going to be a visual director. Then I was like, okay, well, that's kind of like made up in a sense. But I was like, you know what? Let's go with creative director. And then that embodies someone who is organized. That embodies someone who is a great communicator, someone who can keep the team and organized and keep the team in good communication, good standing, and also overseeing an art director, the artist, or the talent, or whatever the project is. So I was like, this is what I've been doing for forever. So let's go ahead and go with that. Literally, as soon as I did that, coming into 2023, it's like I won a freaking award this year for Creative Director of the Year, which Carolina Fashion Awards won. I was featured with Belk like 2 or 3 times. I spoke to a class at SCAD with my cousin a few times, like via Zoom, as a creative director, giving people like insight, like what my day looks like, what it took me to get here, my journey. So it was like, okay, wow, like, okay, this is kind of crazy. So when you give yourself, a title in a sense, it's a little bit more respected. And it's not even the sense of respected. It's more so it's clear to people, what do you do? So, now they want to be able to tap in specifically for that. Whereas some people think I'm a stylist, or some people just think I help with artists, or some people just think I do events. Now as a creative director, they know that overall I'm bringing a vision to life. So, and
you're very, very good at that. I'm gonna give you your flowers here and now, man. It's been awesome to get to know you. But yeah, do you have anything else that you need to shout out, or like, do you have a website? Like, how can people get in contact if they do want to work with you? What would be the best way for them to contact you?
You can go to, on Instagram first. You can go to my link in bio through my Calendly. So I do all of my consultations and speaking, like anything is through there. If you want to just reach out to me and then see what we can do in the future, you can just email me at info@mrsplashofclass.com. Shoot me a DM. What else? Yeah, so there's no website with like all my work or anything, but in my bio, in that link, there is a link to my portfolio as well if you want to see some of my work. But
I'll have all that linked in the description. But if there's nothing else that needs to be said or anything like that, then I'm gonna open the floor for you. Anybody you want to shout out, or any projects you got coming up that you're working on that you're super excited about? Like,
just know that 2024 is going to be a great year, and Charlotte's going to be a great city very soon. It's already a great city, but it's going to be even greater. Shout out to you for having me. I appreciate you, Zeke.
Appreciate you, man.
This is great what you're doing. I hope it continues to flourish. If I started shouting out, there's so many people to shout out, so I can't even do that. But shout out to Charlotte Blackcard. Shout out to VSN. Shout out to Sounds by Sunday. Shout out to Wolfgang, my brother, my cousin, who pretty much helped just like remind me like who I was, like get this spark back and just like to just keep going hard. My close friends, so many of them, my family for just keeping me going. Yeah, literally everybody who's in my corner, I love everybody. Like, keep doing what y'all do. I'm gonna keep doing what I do. That's I don't know.
That's it.
Yeah.
Hey, well, we appreciate you for coming on, Sam. I don't know. I don't only speak for myself, but I speak for everyone who's watching and listening. We all look forward to your future, and 2024. It's going to be a great year. Yes, appreciate you for coming on once again. Thank y'all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all stay blessed. Have a good one. Peace.
Peace out.